This is, we're just doing a little rundown of the things that we love in our kitchen that we use every day. And the reason for that is we got a request to make that list. And rather than just provide a paper list, I thought I'd explain exactly what we use, why we use it. Now, we've cooked in a lot of kitchens with a lot of different tools, and we've settled on a handful of things that are absolutely essential. Some of them we actually travel with because we like to cook in hotel rooms. The first is a good knife. Now, here's two knives. This one is a very expensive knife. As a matter of fact, it's so expensive I couldn't bring myself to actually pay the money for it, and I never broke down and bought one for myself, but really, really good friends bought this for me, and I love it. I use it every day. I don't know how I'd live without it. This is a very cheap knife, and it is made out of stainless steel. It has a sanitary handle. You can stick it in the dishwasher, and it's one of the ones that I use on a regular basis. You'll notice it's very big. Big is good. Big is good in a knife, and I'll show you why in just a second. But it doesn't matter whether the knife is very expensive or very cheap if it's dull. This one right now is dull. I use it so much, and I didn't get the sharpener out, and so it's dull. So you can see I've got a tomato here on the cutting board. I'm just going to run this back and forth on the tomato. Nothing is happening, okay? I will sharpen this shortly. This knife I just sharpened. Very cheap, but it's just come off the sharpener. One slide down the tomato and the slices fall right off. And you'll see these demos in stores where they show how great a knife is. It's not how great the knife is, it's how great it's been sharpened. And it needs to be able to sharpen on a regular basis. So decent knife, great knife, but both need to be sharpened on a regular basis in order to be worth anything. So here's my sharpener. And I'll tell you that this sharpener plus this knife cost about the same amount as just this knife. So if I had to have just one thing, it would be this knife and sharpener as opposed to this knife and no sharpener. I like having this knife and the sharpener because now I can have a great knife and keep it sharp as well. It's very simple to sharpen anything with this sharpener. Unlike a lot of sharpeners where you've got a lot of work to do when you get it out, this you plug in, you turn it on. It's going to make some noise here. It's kind of hard on the ears. It has guides, so it holds it at just the right bevel. There's a coarse wheel that's setting the bevel, and then there's finer. These are little diamond pads that are oscillating, and I put in very fine edge. And after just a few passes on the sharpener, now we're back to the blade that I know and love, where it just one little swipe with it and it cuts. Now you'll notice I'm cutting on a cutting board. If you want to destroy your countertops and destroy your knives, all you have to do is use a knife on a stone countertop. We're on a glass cutting board. Plastic is excellent for a variety of reasons. It's a lot softer than steel, so the steel will put marks in the plastic instead of the plastic damaging the edge on the steel. You'll notice that it is a flexible cutting board. There's a reason for that. I use these all the time. They're light, they're easy to clean. I can put one right here. I can take out some lettuce, chop it real quick, get my trusty salad spinner, and it works like a funnel.
Looks like we're having salad for lunch.
We are definitely having salad for lunch. So it works as a funnel as well as a cutting board. I can also chop up one thing on this board, something else on this board, and just move it out of the way. And I can have as many boards going as I want all at the same time. Salad spinner is number 3, I guess, if you're counting knife, sharpener, cutting board is number 3. Salad spinner is number 4. We use this every day, wouldn't be without it. We actually have 2 sizes. When I go out to the herb garden to harvest herbs or to pick tomatoes in our tomato garden, they go in the little one. When I want to strain out our sprouts that we grow in the kitchen here, I use the little one. For bigger things, I use the big one. They're both wonderful. What I'll be able to do now is just add some water to the salad spinner. That will crisp up that lettuce. It can soak in the water for a while. all the lettuce gets nice and crispy, and then when I spin it down, all the water comes out, so you're not diluting the salad dressing when you're doing the salad dressing. Okay, well, we're talking about knives. There are a couple of other knives that you'll want to have. This one I did by myself. It's the baby brother of the really beautiful knife, the Global knife that we got as a gift. This is just a little paring knife. So you need a chef's knife of some kind. This is a Santoku, a Japanese style chef's knife. This is a big chef's knife. The little paring knife, serrated knife for cutting things like bread, perfect for that. A slicer, when you're slicing roasts, a little slicer like that works well. And here's the cheap version of the paring knife. We keep lots of these around, keep lots of them sharpened up because these get dull quickly. There's only a little blade, and so it gets dull really fast. So that's the knives, cutting boards, sharpener, and salad spinners. Next, I'll pick up with some cooking equipment. Okay, so another one of the prep things that I neglected in the last segment is people love avocados these days. They're eating them all the time. As a matter of fact, emergency rooms now have a term for the injury that they're seeing. They call it avocado hand, from people who don't know how to properly open up an avocado. One of the tricks is cut away from you. The second is to have a sharp knife. So if I take this knife and I'm cutting down into the avocado but away from my hand, then I can just work the knife around the avocado. And the avocado comes open. And then to get the avocado out of the shell, this skinny little spatula. I searched kitchen racks in various stores for months before I found this. It has a very fine silicone blade, and it needs to be fine because you want to get it between the meat of the avocado and the shell. And if you press down, the avocado just pops right out. So there's a half an avocado, easily popped right out. I'm not going to eat this right away, so I don't want it to get brown. So I'm going to wrap it up. Whoops. I'm going to wrap it up, put it back on top of the shell, put the skin back on there, and this is one of the greatest inventions of all time. If you struggle with stretch wrap, this stretch tight wrap and snap dispenser is the best thing in the world. You put the whole package of the stretch wrap in there, right? It cuts, you're done.
Can you turn it around so that we
Yeah.
can see it from the front?
Yeah, so this is stretch tight wrap and snap 7500. Now all of these things, by the way, I'm going to make a list and I will give you a location to go to on this video that you'll be able to go and download the whole list as a PDF and including how to get it on Amazon and everything else. So don't worry about making notes or trying to read anything in the video. I will make all of that available. But that is something we use multiple times a day, every day. And after wrestling with, Saran Wrap and all kinds of other brands, this Stretch and Seal stretch type dispenser is the one thing that finally solved the problem, and I couldn't live without it. Okay, when it comes to measuring and mixing, there are measuring cups that make life a whole lot easier. This measuring cup has gradations in it that you can read from above. So you can look down in, see the liquid in there, and know exactly how much you've got in there. That one's plastic, so I can't use it in the microwave. I also melt a lot of butter. You see our saying back there, right? We melt a lot of butter that we use with lemon, for example, on lobster and so on. And for melting butter, a glass Pyrex measuring cup is great. Just drop the butter in there, throw it in the microwave, and melt the butter. For measuring weights, a good kitchen scale is really handy. This one measures in both ounces and grams, and it has a little scale that pulls out so that if you put a big pot or bowl on top of it, you can still read.
I didn't know
that. You don't use it.
For coffee, I do.
Yeah. And then these mixing bowls, all right, so mixing bowls made out of what, pottery or ceramic, or what do you call that? The heavy china mixing bowls. Those are wonderful, and I like them for serving, but something with a handle and a spout on it that's big enough And big is good. You can mix a little bit of stuff in a big bowl and then you put it into some other bowl for serving, but you're not getting it all over the place as long as you have a big bowl, or you're not going to get as much all over the place. I know, Susan's now responding to the fact that I do get stuff all over the place, even with the big bowl, but this at least reduces it. And one more item, a whistling tea kettle. There's a lot of times you need hot water, whether it's for adding to a recipe, you're making something that requires a slow addition of water, or just making a cup of tea or pouring water into a coffee pot, having something that really works, that carries a lot of water, boils water quickly and efficiently, and then the whistle lets you know so it's not sitting there boiling away forever. So those are some other essentials that we have in the kitchen. Okay, continuing the list of things that we love and we use on a regular basis. I don't think a single day goes by that I don't use it's Analon is the brand, 12-inch skillet. This skillet I use for everything under the sun. As a matter of fact, if I had only one pan, I had to live the rest of my life with, it would be this pan. It gets lots and lots and lots of use. It is made by Analon. It's 3 layers thick. The 3 layers result in a very tough exterior, very good heat distribution in the middle, and then a surface that can be made non-stick on the inside. And it's heavy, so getting a pan full of food and flipping it takes a little arm strength, but it is absolutely worth having a pan that distributes the heat evenly, has a great non-stick surface. They guarantee the non-stick surface. I have had one Analon pan fail. I called up their warranty department. They sent me a brand new pan. Just had me take a picture of where it failed, and they just sent a brand new one, no additional questions asked. So I do love Analon. There are a number of other brands out there. As long as it's heavy, triple layer with copper in the middle, aluminum and stainless steel, that combination produces just an incredible pan. Now, some people don't like to have a non-stick surface. I don't know why. I suppose there are some health concerns. This is supposed to be PFTE free, which should eliminate those health concerns, but you might want pure stainless steel, in which case you're going to be in for some scrubbing. I personally don't want to deal with that. The next thing is a good sheet pan. A sheet pan that doesn't bend when you put it in the oven. If you put food on something and you stick it in the oven, the heat hits it and it warps. The problem there is that, for example, cooking bacon in this, if it stays flat, the bacon grease all stays on another one of my favorite kitchen tools. This is non-stick Reynolds wrap. What I do with the sheet pan, so as to not have a big cleaning screw at the end, I take a sheet of the non-stick Reynolds wrap. So you've got aluminum foil. I lay the bacon on there, stick it in the oven at 350. When the bacon is done, you lift the bacon off. The aluminum foil can be lifted. Pour the bacon fat into a container so you can reuse it. You don't want to waste any bacon fat. Once you're done with that, you roll the foil up and throw it away. The pan is clean. It's ready to go back into the cupboard. So if you talk about taking your workload down, this is one of the techniques that can reduce your workload very substantially. I know it's not a kitchen implement. I mean, these are consumable items. Olive oil, really good extra virgin olive oil. If you can find a source at a reasonable price, we buy this by the case. It's Shoreline extra virgin olive oil. A guy imports it by the tractor trailer load directly from a place in Greece. It is very high quality oil at a very reasonable price, and we love it so much that we don't leave home without it. When we travel, we actually take the olive oil with us. Okay, in connection with that pan, by the way, a good spatula, a spatula that you can grab things and flip them easily. This one was made by
KitchenAid.
This KitchenAid. So it's stainless steel, but it has a silicone front edge on it that keeps it from scratching anything, but it has enough stiffness that you can really work your way under foods. Good spatula, very important. A blender. If you're going to make smoothies, if you're going to make soups, if you're going to make anything that requires blending.
Crepes.
A milkshake. What?
Crepes.
Crepes, yeah. We make crepes all the time for the boys with this. This blender is expensive. Now they've come down quite a lot, and actually they've improved upon this since this one is a little over 5 years old. 5 years ago, I spent nearly $600 on this one. It is the Culinary Institute of America edition. So it is the high-end edition. Really, you can go to Costco today and buy the newest model for about $300. They have new models coming out that are Bluetooth enabled, and you can have recipes on your phone, and it will adjust the speeds up and down to match the recipes, and it'll adjust the weights and the measures and everything for you. But we use it just as a blender. I got to tell you, this is another company that's really, really good. A few months back, this blender container started leaking at the bottom, and I looked online and I was dismayed to find that a replacement blender container was going to cost me about $125. And Sue said, well, isn't that thing warranted like forever? So I checked and found out that we had bought it just slightly less than 5 years ago, and that it was a 5-year warranty. I called up Vitamix, I told them what was going on, they sent me a brand new container. So this ought to be good for another 5 years. So we'll get 10 years out of our $600 blender, so it's $60 a year. I was burning through a blender about every 6 months, and paying $100 and some for each one that I burned up, and none of them had the kind of warranty, and certainly none of them had the performance that a Vitamix has. So highly encourage the Vitamix. Okay, there's a couple of things that we use, and we don't want to make a specific recommendation on. One is a good coffee maker. Having a coffee pot that really works for your lifestyle. And what we've discovered is different friends have different lifestyles, and those lifestyles require different coffee pots. We get a little crazy. We've got a Bonavita that was recommended by Matt's cousin, who's a barista. Yes. And a real coffee expert. He said Bonavita is the way to go. It does make excellent regular coffee. We also have a Breville dual boiler, which is a real extravagance. I mean, it's an over-the-top, very pricey piece of equipment, but it makes excellent espresso and cappuccino and lattes, and it has a very expensive grinder that goes along with it, and a knockbox and everything else. So if you want to really pull out all of the stops, you can look at a Breville dual boiler. It does make a great cup of coffee, but it probably is way more than what most people would ever use or want to maintain, for that matter. A couple of appliances that we found really important. We love having a built-in ice maker. The one we have is commercial. It's a nuisance to maintain. It's noisy at night. It's expensive. You need to change the filters on a regular basis. Those are pricey. You have extensive cleaning. All that said, we wouldn't give it up. We also use an electric frying pan for doing things like frying meatballs or fried chicken, any kind of frying, deep frying. The temperature control of an electric frying pan is great. If you've got a crowd, you're making pancakes, an electric griddle is great. Having a separate burner that you can use, we actually have a separate induction burner. We have an induction stove, so we have a separate induction little burner that we can use independent of the stove. We use cast iron for certain things with real high temperatures. When we want to do really hardcore searing, we get a cast iron skillet smoking hot, and we use that to put a hard sear on things. So those are some other implements that we have on a regular basis. Again, I'm going to make the list up. I'll make it in PDF format. I'll give you a location you can go to get that and download it. I'll also have all of the Amazon links if you want to go directly to Amazon. So I hope that maybe buying some of the basic items, at least a good knife, at least a cutting board, at least a way to sharpen the knife, some things like the salad spinner, will just take a lot of the work and a lot of the stress. Oh, the sheet pan and the stretch and seal and the aluminum foil. Those things really do reduce the workload, improve the quality of what you're doing. So I hope this has been useful and that you'll get some benefit from it.